Hey, this is Kevin Kelly. Get ready for the latest episode of the Stardom Cast.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Stardom Cast. This is a podcast we talk all things about the fantastic wrestling promotion that is Stardom, and we do it in a positive and what I like to think fun manner. I am your host Matt Turner, and I am not joined by Rob Goodwin this week. This will be a solo podcast. Mr. Rob Goodwin, the Don of this podcast, the Godfather of this podcast, informed me that he has a huge job interview coming up on Thursday. We recorded the podcast on Wednesday, and he said he had just had to donate some more time to that. He had some projects that he had to get done and some presentations, and he asked me if I can do the podcast solo. I said, of course, Rob, absolutely. And on behalf of all the friends and family members of the Stardom Cast, we wish you well on your job interview coming up, well, as this airs on Friday. Get in the DeLorean and go back a day. So best of luck, buddy, on your job interview. We know that you are going to nail it, and he's going to be doing the job interview on one foot, folks, as he still has his crutches on. So what a trooper. The words of Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden, the trooper. That's Rob Goodwin. But I figured, folks, let's have a little fun with Rob missing another episode, shall we? If you remember, about a month or so ago, he broke his foot and he missed an episode. And I went on this very podcast and I asked if everybody can please tweet at him that the reason why he broke his foot is he was doing the Cosmic Angels dance, and his Twitter timeline was pretty well flooded with some Cosmic Angels memes. So again, let's have some fun with it. So let's just say the job interview that Rob is going for is that he is going for to be one of the backup dancers / singers for the Meltear tour. So if we can, this weekend, obviously send him some positive vibes on Twitter, fingers crossed that he gets the job. Let's have a little fun with it, shall we? Because that's what we do on the Stardom podcast. On the Stardom Cast, we have a whole lot of fun. Let's tweet at him some pictures of Tam and Natsupoi, in the full Meltear regalia there, the full gear, and say, hey, Rob, good luck on being one of the backup dancers / singers on the Meltear World Tour 2023. So I think that'd be fun, right? I think that'll be the new tradition that we start here on the Stardom Cast. If for some reason he misses, I'll come on here and give some wacky reason why he missed. So that should be fun. Sorry, buddy. Got to do it. Again, this podcast is all about fun. Okay, so we have a lot to talk about on this show. The main event of this show, we'll be previewing the 3rd and the 4th, the last two final nights of, I can't believe the 3rd and the 4th, we're going to be December already. As this podcast drops, it will be December. The 3rd and the 4th of the Stardom Goddess of Stardom Tag League, the final two nights. So that will be the main event of this show. We are going to be doing reviews on Stardom In Showcase 3. We'll be doing the review of the Cork and Hall show last week and the show from the 27th as well. But before we get into that, let's talk about what's coming up on Patreon. We had just dropped the Kagetsu World of Stardom Championship review. 8 successful title defenses, 1 match where she won the belt, 1 match where she lost the belt. The easy math tells me 10 matches I've reviewed. That is in your feedback in the Patreon episode. In your Patreon, that's up there now for all the white and red belt tier members. The watch along this past week for the red belt tier members is we went back to a World Climax Night 1 from earlier this year, March 26th, I believe the show was, as we watched Shuri defend the World of Stardom Championship against Julia. And I think that is almost like a little preview, a little appetizer of what we're going to get coming up here on the 29th in Sumo Hall for the World of Stardom Championship, and basically a rematch. Obviously, Julia winning the 5-star Grand Prix, so she gets her championship title match, and she will be challenging Shuri once again. So I wanted to go back and watch that match just to kind of get myself and all the fantastic listeners, the friends and family of the Stardom Cast, just to kind of get everybody's mind jogging, just to see where this match is going to go. As good as Shuri and Julia were back in March, I think they're way better now. And as great as that match was back at World Climax, I think they're going to have even a better match coming up on Dream Queendom December the 29th, as we are just a little over 3 weeks away for that card. Super, super excited for that card. Can't wait to see where it's going to go. Also, again, as you listen to this, we are in December. We're having ourselves a Merry Mayu Christmas. $1 tier Patreon members get you a career retrospective that myself and Mr. Rob Goodwin will be recording sometime in December. Not sure when it's going to be, but it'll be dropping sometime in December. And that's just $1. For the $5 tier members, we are going to be doing not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 watch-alongs of Mayu Iwatani versus Io Shirai. We will start with this Monday coming up will be their match from the 2015 5-Star Grand Prix, and then weeks 2, 3, and 4, we will be watching along into their trilogy of matches for the World of Stardom Championship. Now, for the white belt and red belt tier members, on the not the Patreon, on the Twitter, you voted for Thunder Rock review. That'll be dropping towards the end of the year. I'm super excited to do that review. And out of all the polls that I have put up on Twitter for the Patreon, that had the most votes. That won in a landslide. So again, I'm going to be reviewing anywhere between 8 to 10 Thunder Rock matches. I'm not sure what exactly matches I'm going to be doing. Probably closer to 10, to be honest with you. I have a lot of time from work coming off, and it's just an excuse to make me watch more of one of my favorite tag teams of all time. I know that I will be doing the review of their match where Io turns on Mayu, spoilers, from the finals of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League with Thunder Rock versus Yoko Bido and Kari Hojo. I'm probably going to be reviewing, even though me and Rob did it, I just want to watch it again, of Thunder Rock versus Kari and Meiko Satomura, and probably, even though we did a watch along on it, probably Io's final match where she teams with Mayu to take on Hazuki and Kagetsu. So if there's any matches that you want to add to the list, just let me know. Let me know. Drop me a line, Matt Turner OF, on the Instagram and the Twitter, and of course, you can always email me at the StardomCast22@gmail.com if there's any Thunder Rock matches that you want me to put on the list that we will review. So that'll be coming up at the end of December, right around time for the new year. What a great way to close out 2022 with some Thunder Rock. Now, the also what was voted was Mayu winning the 2016 Cinderella tournament, and that'll always drop in the middle of the month, 14th, 15th, 16th, give or take, somewhere around there. That'll drop. So I'm going to change this up just a little bit. Not change it up, I'm going to add to it. I've already watched all the matches from that Cinderella tournament, and there's only 3. There's supposed to be 4 matches. There's 2 semifinal matches that one goes to a time limit and one gets thrown out. So basically, there's a bye going to the final. So there's only 3 matches. I've watched them. I've reviewed them. I made notes of them. I don't feel comfortable with, if you're paying for this Patreon, I don't feel comfortable with just me doing just 3 matches. I'm always the person that I like to give people more than there's money's worth. And I have so much pride in this podcast and the Patreon. And it is a Merry Mayu Christmas that we're going to do a little more. So what I'm also going to do, I'm going to add to that episode. I'm going to be reviewing Mayu Iwatani and Saki Kashima's Goddess of Stardom Championship reign. They have 3 successful title defenses. Obviously, the match they win the titles and the match that they lose the titles. That brings up to 5. So you're also going to be getting, as an added bonus, you're not only going to get the 2016 Mayu Iwatani Cinderella Championship win, but I'm going to be adding Mayu and Saki Kashima's Goddess of Stardom complete title reign. Now, whether I'm going to split that up into 2 episodes and be released on the same day or one day after another, or if I might just do the 3 Cinderella matches, take a drink of water, then go right into the 5 matches with Mayu and Saki, that I don't know yet. But I just feel like you fantastic folks, you deserve a little bit more. And again, it is a Merry Mayu Christmas. So we're going to give you a little bonus episode with Mayu Iwatani and Saki Kashima's Goddess of Stardom reign. So, and again, I thank everybody so much for all the support that we've been getting in. I've noticed that we've had a few new Patreon members join this past week. So welcome aboard. Any questions, comments, let me know. You guys know how to get a hold of me. Welcome to the show. I know we have a lot of new listeners as well. Welcome. I hope you guys are enjoying the show and will continue to enjoy the show. And anything that we can do to make your experience better, let us know. Okay, I'm going to start with Stardom in Showcase 3, just because it's kind of its own thing. It's kind of almost like an Elseworld on Stardom. So I'm kind of just going to just breeze through some of these matches, because some of these matches were kind of just laughing and kind of head scratchers. But I tell you what, out of all three of the Stardom and Showcases, I definitely enjoyed this one the most. So we start with an actual, quote unquote real match, if you want to say. We go to the Blue Stars Goddess Tournament. 7-Up, Yu and Nanae Takahashi taking on Wingori, Saya Ida, and Hana. I thought this was a really, really good match. I liked how Saya Ida would not back down from Yu. Seems like Yu, it just seems like she's the irresistible force in this tournament, just kind of just backing everybody down. But I almost got like very old school, like 70s, 80s, like Monster Hero, just gobbling people up as if saying like, hey, if you don't take your offense, I'm not going to give you any. Saya Ida did a really good job bringing it with you. There was some really good exchanges with Hana and Nanae Takahashi. I thought Nanae, being a former champion, just a legend of Stardom, really gave the younger Hana, who just turned 18, a lot in this match and did a really good job making her look really good. And then we get some really good stuff with Nanae and Saya Ida as well, which to me, that was the main portion of the match. But 7-Up, they finished off Saya Ida with the T gimmick. A little bit of call out here to the Backstreet Boys, former CZW Tag Team Champions, the late great Trent Acid and Johnny Cashmere. I thought that was pretty cool. How I'm not sure if that's what they were kind of going for, but as soon as they did, I'm like, oh man, that's the old T gimmick. So a little, tugging at my heartstrings for early 2000s independent wrestling tag team action. I had this one at 3.25 stars. We go to the Falls Count Anywhere match. We have Ram Chow versus Starlight Kid versus Azumi versus Koguma. This starts off with some 4-way high-speed action. And again, you have 4 athletes like this that are moving this fast. If anybody's off a half a second or half a step, it becomes a domino effect. One thing's going to mess up to another, and it's just going to be a whole big cluster. And by no means did they miss on this. Like the first 90 seconds, it was just polished. It was really good. And then the comedy came out, folks. If you've seen this match, you know what I mean. Basically, Azumi and Koguma, they come out with these giant, like, inflatable pool soccer ball things that they were almost looked like the sumo fights that you see at the county fair. And then all 4 of them fight to the outside, and we see there's an inflatable soccer man that gets knocked down. I thought that was pretty funny. Again, these shows are completely different. It's an Elseworld, so by no means was I like, oh, this is terrible because this isn't wrestling. They started out really good and now they're doing all this comedy. I thought it was pretty funny. It was harmless. It basically, fits in perfect what Stardom Showcase is. And they get back in the ring and they do more high-speed action with Koguma pinning Azumi via the Koguma roll. So maybe Koguma is going to, I don't know if this is going to be canon, quote unquote, but does that give Koguma a shot at Azumi's high-speed championship belt? I wouldn't say no to another match between them two. I just didn't rate this match just because of the silliness and whatnot. And it was a good match. It was the comedy parts where they put in it where they needed to put in. But it was super fun. If you like these type of wild, zany Falls Count Anywhere matches that they've been having, I think that the last one, I think Micah threw a bike at somebody. I'm sure Dusty Rhodes and Up in Heaven was yelling, bicycle, bicycle. Anywho, it was a pretty fun match. Match number 3, which I guess is taking the this one, the Zest Hair Salon match, which might be taking the place of the Cosmic Rules match as like the zaniest, wildest match of the show. Lady C versus Saya Kamatani versus Himika versus Momo Kogo. This match was kind of all over the place. They had a pool in the middle of the ring, and they were able to use shampoo and hair gel and hairspray and all sorts of things. And I just really had, as a professional wrestler, I just really had 2 thoughts in mind as this match was happening. Is one, Lady C was the only one that wore like her older gear. Like Momo Kogo, Himika, and Sai Kamatani, they all had like their newer gear. But I'm like, won't it get ruined? Like with all that hair gel and the shampoo and whatnot. So Lady C had like the gear she had for like a year and a half ago when she first started. Not only that, I was also thinking, what if all that shampoo that's going to be in the ring, I don't think they're like WWE where they're going to just constantly changing canvases. I'm not sure if that's what they did. But I was thinking, boy, the next match, they're going to be slipping and sliding all over the place. I hope nobody like blows out a knee or breaks anything. This is a match I kind of shook my head and laughed at. You weren't getting Briscoe Funk in this one. It was what it was. Lady C taps out Momo Kogo via the Cobra Twist. There were some really funny interactions with Saya Kamatani and Himika with their hair gelled, standing all the way up. I thought that was pretty entertaining. Again, I'm not going to rate this match. It was what it was. It was pretty funny. And I'm excited to see Lady C's new do. I hope they put that on Stardom World or the YouTube page where they show her reaping the benefits of her big win here at Stardom Showcase Volume 3. Now we pretty much completely flipped the coin of this one. We have a judo rules match where Mayu Iwatani teamed up with Maika and Hana to take on the team of Hina, Mirai, and Utami. I thought this was pretty fun because you basically had everybody was in gis, jiu-jitsu gis, karate gis, and you were able to pull the gi down. I took a couple judo classes, and you can kind of use the gi against your own advantage. So I thought this was a really good way to make something set apart. The only weird thing was I would like to see this maybe in a singles match, maybe a Micah versus Himika or Hannah or Hina or somebody that had, or Mirai. Mirai was I think she was the real standout here in this match with the judo gi. I think she looked like that she might have been the most comfortable in it. I know a lot of these wrestlers in Stardom, they have a MMA background or an amateur background, but I think Mirai really stood out the best here. And I would mind seeing a Mirai versus Micah match. That's probably the match I want to see the most in this judo match, because I think just with the 6 people, they're kind of tagging in and out. You see there's a scoreboard on the bottom left. Mayu, who I don't think has much judo background, I thought she kind of felt like she was like the odd person out here, but it's Mayu, and she always is great at anything that they give her. But I thought this was really, really solid. Eventually, Micah chokes out Hannah with the Katai Jame, the Taz mission, or it's now known as the Red Rum. As a giant fan of ECW and someone who grew up in that era, huge fan of that. She did a great job locking it in. I had this one at 3.5 stars. I thought this was really, really fun. I rated it because this was more of a sports thing, and I like that shoot style of wrestling. I'm obviously a huge fan of Pancrase, UWF, UWFI, and you had a lot of the judo submissions and judo throws. I thought this was very, very well done. We go to a no disqualification match where Ruaka teams up with Saki Kashima to take on the team of Hazuki and Natsusumi. Hazuki bringing out the old white outfit and the black Oedo Tai lipstick, so it's basically like an Oedo Tai reunion. And I was a big fan of how this match was set up. Basically, at Natsusumi's bar, Ruaka and Saki Kashima come in and start a ruckus. Saki breaks a bottle over Natsu's head really early on. We get more of Hazuki versus Tora. Obviously, Hazuki, when she left, not only Oedo Tai, when she retired from Stars, Tora was pretty much being groomed to be the next leader of Oedo Tai once Kagetsu left and retired. Don't understand why there was some tags here in the no DQ match. There's no disqualification, but they kept tagging, especially Natsu and Hazuki. I didn't understand that. If you don't tag in, what's the ref going to do? Disqualify you? Which is obviously what happens here in the end. But we get some really, really good double teams here from both teams. I thought Natsu looked really good. Hazuki's just great in everything that she does. She's going to have a huge, huge 2023. I think somebody that, again, I have her pegged of winning early. My early pick to win the Cinderella tournament, and then to throne Saya Kamatani sometime in the spring and the summer. As I just don't think that they should be taking the belt off Saya Kamatani for another 5 or 6 months, because she's doing such a great job with that belt. And I think Hazuki's the person to do it. Let's build Hazuki up towards the end of this year and beginning of next year. And I would say no to a Hazuki versus Julia World of Stardom Championship match, as if that's the direction they're going. We get champagne bottles, we get beer bottles, we get a little bit of everything. Natsu hits her signature cradle DDT on Tora for 2, and then it basically breaks down into a big Oedo Tai versus Stars brawl. And the ref is like, that's it, I had enough in this no DQ match, and I'm going to call a double disqualification, which I thought was hilarious. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The match was fun. 3.25 stars. I thought Natsu looked really good here. And again, I think they're teasing to something with Tora and Hazuki somewhere down the line. At least I hope so. We go to the hardcore rules matches. We see the prominence team of Haragi, Risa Sera, and one of my new favorite wrestlers of the year, Suzu Suzuki, taking on the returning Unagi Sayaka, teaming with her Cosmic Angels brethren, Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, the Goddess of Stardom World Champions, also known as Meltier. Cosmic Angels, for some reason, was dressed as painters, and then we find out why. Unagi takes some chair damage early on, basically starting some heat onto her. Meltier come in for the save as they start building towards their offense, and then you find out the reason why they're dressed up as painters is because they're using a mop bucket and like a paintbrush and basically spray cans to blind the Prominence team, which I thought was pretty funny and something completely different here. Tam takes some crazy bumps here. She takes a ladder and chair sandwich spot. She takes a German suplex onto a ladder, or excuse me, with a chair, and she takes a air raid crash off the apron through a table from Risa Serra. I mean, Tam Nakano wasn't messing around here. She really gave the Prominence team a lot here, and she got beat up pretty well. And she brought it really back as well. I thought Unagi looked really well here. The Cosmic Angels, all three of them clicked very, very well together. And considering the fact that right around Natsupoi, not too long after she joined Cosmic Angels, is when Unagi left. So these three, Tam, Natsupoi, and Unagi, haven't had a lot of time to gel together. But I thought they looked really good. Suzu Suzuki looked great. Risa Serra looked great. Hiraga, who I'm not too familiar with, she looked really good as well here. Unagi hits a shell shock onto a pile of chairs. Oh, and even before that, Suzu Suzuki hits a Unagi off the top of a giant ladder. I mean, a superplex off the top of the ladder. That was crazy. Unagi, that she winds up fighting back up, hits the shell shock onto Suzu on a pile of chairs. Eventually, the Cosmic Angels are trying to put away Prominence. Poi goes for the whiskey miss. She misses, allowing Suzu Suzuki to hit a German suplex on about 94 chairs for the 3 count. 3.5 stars. This was completely up in Prominence's wheelhouse, and I guess this means that Cosmic Angels, they don't get that tour bus for the Meltier tour. What is Rob Goodwin going to do? Where is he going to practice his moves, folks? I don't know. We go to the main event of the show, Exploding Coffin Match. We have another Grim Reaper teaming with 7-Up. We saw them earlier in the show, so they do double duty here. Nanae Takahashi and Yu taking on the Donald DeMundo team of Julia, Tekla, Mai Sakurai. So you have 2 tag teams there, Mafia Bella, Julia and Tekla, and Julia and Mai Sakurai. Oh my Julia. They try to take off the Grim Reaper's mask, but he's wearing 2 masks. Almost look like La Parka there. At least that's what I thought. Some really good double teams from the Mafia Bella. Nanai winds up beating everybody up with a busted coffin. Nanai and Julia battle to the back of the coffin. The Grim Reaper winds up making the big save for the Neo Stardom army. And then they wind up throwing Rasi Ogawa into the coffin, and the coffin doesn't explode. Really wasn't much this match. It was like a very basic match. There were some good exchanges with Julia and Nanai. And again, Julia, when she wins that red belt, which we pretty much all assume she's going to do, she has a litany of challengers set up for her based on her losses and her draws in the 5-star. Plus, she's got that feud with Natsupoi. It's going to take 2 seconds to reheat a feud up with Starlight Kid. I wouldn't mind seeing Julia and Nanai. I wouldn't mind seeing Nanai get another red belt title shot. That's a match that I would really, really like to see the 2 of them have. I didn't rate this one. I just thought it was weird how the coffin didn't explode. Just seems like these explosions lately in these bigger companies aren't going as well as it used to. Somebody needs to phone Otani. Or not Otani, Anita. Because I'll tell you what, anytime he did the explosion stuff, it looked brutal. So, all in all, I enjoyed Stardom In Showcase 3. Again, it's kind of like non-canon, something completely different. So, let's go to review the 2 matches. As you probably hear me turning my notes as I am just old school. We go to the 23rd of November, Korakuen Hall. This was a Wednesday at like 11, 12 o'clock, and it still drew over 1,000 people. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So we start with match number 1, Blue Goddess Tournament. FWC, Hazuki and Koguma taking on Wingori, the team of Hana and Saida. I thought this match was really, really solid. It's the Stars versus the Stars. We get some FWC double team on Hana to start. Hazuki boot scrapes and face washed his hand really, really tight. I mean, she really laid in there. Eventually gets the hot tag to Saida. I've noticed this late in the Wingori matches that Hana is doing a really good job selling. And then tagging in Saida, who's the fire of the team. Makes sense. Hana's probably the better seller. Saida throws the more vicious strikes. So I like that formula that they have with Hana being the, basically the Ricky Morton getting the sympathy of the crowd as Saida comes in and just chops everybody. I mean, she chopped Koguma so hard here. Eventually, we get some Hazuki Saida, some stiff boots and chops back and forth, some really good stuff. Hana is able to cut off Hazuki with her perfect judo throw, and I thought that was the way that she puts that in matches where we've seen it in the 5-star, where her opponents are starting to gain some momentum and she'll just basically clip them off with the judo throw. I think it works really well here. Like once Saida gets cooled off from the hot tag and she's taking a little bit of punishment, she'll just basically just not tag herself in, but hey, you have 5 seconds. She'll just come in, do the judo throw to get the Wingori advantage. I thought that was really cool. Hana gets a couple quick near falls on Hazuki, but eventually Hazuki traps Hana's arms, puts her in the Ring of Saturn for the tap out. 3.5 stars, 9 minutes, 33 seconds, taking FWC up to 6 points. We move on to match number 2, the Red Goddess of Stardom as O2 Line, Azumi, and Miyu Hamasaki taking on my pick to win the whole entire tournament, Maika and Himeka. Mike and Himeka work over Miyu early on as Miyu winds up hitting a pair of drop kicks, and that is able to free her to tag in Azumi. Azumi fires up on Maika and Himeka, some really good lucha-style spots from Azumi basically used. We saw it in the 5-star where she wrestled these two, and she used their size advantage against them. I thought that was really good psychology, and Azumi does a great job throwing forearms, and her kicks are really, really good, especially those head kicks. I thought she's able to really kind of plant those in onto Mike and Himeka. And then we get some really good tag team action back and forth with Mike and Himeka. My Himi with the lariats and lariat sandwiches. They basically take Miyu out, and then Azumi goes for the Azumi Sushi, but Micah is able to reverse the Azumi Sushi into a jackknife cover. We saw Micah getting a pinfall over Nanai at the just a few weeks ago with the reversing a jackknife, and she does it here. 6 minutes, 36 seconds, 3.25 stars. So we see Micah. She's throwing her hat into the ring of the many fantastic Stardom wrestlers that have a flash pin, and she's doing it on reverses. So I think it's really cool, just adding to the wrinkle of the game that is not only Micah, but Micah and Himeka. We go on to match number 3, Red Stars block, as we have My Fair Lady taking on Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, Black Desire, former Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Champions. We get the Oedo Tai jump early on to start out the match. Mayu really lays into Lady C with some kicks that basically starts and builds the heat onto Lady C. Lady C is able to make a little bit of comeback with some kicks and some really good strikes. We get the hot tag into Mai Sakurai. She comes in on fire, and Starlight Kid basically throwing some really brutal Yakuza kicks. These two, Mai Sakurai and Lady C, throw some really stiff Yakuza kicks. I would say, you have Mike and Himeka throwing lariat sandwiches. I'd like to see a Yakuza kick sandwich between these two, but sadly, I think after this weekend, we probably won't see them team up anymore. But who knows? Maybe you'll see it 1 or 2 more times this weekend. Momo opens up with some stiff kicks on Mai Sakurai, and then Lady C comes in for the save, and then Lady C and Mai Sakurai, they debut a new tag team maneuver. Crazy, about a month ago, these two couldn't get along. Now they're gelling real well, and they have this Cobra Clutch. Lady C locking in the Cobra Clutch with the opponent over the knee, and then Mai Sakurai hitting the elbow from the top rope. I thought it was really cool. I thought that was a really cool way for the two of them to start gelling and basically taking two of their signature moves and putting them together. I thought it was very, very well done. Starlight Kid drop kicks Lady C. When Lady C goes for the chokeslam, that was a cool spot. Lady C tries to go for that giant chokeslam that she's just been destroying everybody with in this tournament. And Starlight Kid's able to drop kick her out of the way. Mai Sakurai gets the Mai Pai roll on Momo Watanabe, only gets 2, but eventually they hit the Magic Killer onto Mai Sakurai, and then the B Driver for the 3 count. This is really good, really solid match, 3 3/4 stars, 8 minutes, 20 seconds, gets the job done. We jump over to the Blue Block, the Blue Goddess Stardom Blue Stars tournament, as we have the team of 7-Up on Nanai Takahashi and Yu taking on the team of Waka and Saki. Oh boy. We kind of all knew what was going to happen here, but I tell you, Saki looked really good. She comes out on fire. Her and Nanai Takahashi have some really, really good chemistry together. The two of them gel really well together. Waka just tries out again Yu as she's throwing these forearms, and Yu's just not selling any of them. I guess that's kind of the gimmick we're going here for, as she's just really just backing down Waka. Ultimately, again, this was a solid match. I thought Saki and Waka, I think that they're having some really good chemistry here. But ultimately, there's just one big thing in the match that I think we're all going to talk about is that disgusting last ride powerbomb that Yu hits on poor Waka to get the 3 count. I mean, that thing was just brutal. I wonder if they checked the ring because I think they needed a spatula to scrape up poor Waka. That was just brutal. 7 minutes, 29 seconds, gets the win for the Neo Stardom Army. 7 up, 3.5 stars. We go to the red Goddess block as we have Meltier, our current Goddess Stardom champions, Tam and Natsupoi, taking on Saki Kashima and Fukin Death. This was kind of just weird. We love Tokyo sports. They basically Meltier, Tam, and Natsupoi, they're on the cover of last week's Weekly Pro Wrestling magazine for their match at the historic crossover show. So they come in with the magazines. Obviously, Saki and Fukin Death, they come in with the newspapers. That's kind of their gimmick. So they have a sword fight with the magazines and the newspapers, which was pretty comical. They kind of have a back and forth, normal match. Then it just seems like the ref was like, okay, take it home. And then Natsupoi hits the Furial Gift on Death. And 3 minutes, 46 seconds. So it was like, you have less than 4 minutes to get this comedy spot over, get your magazines over, and then try to get your stuff over. I gave the gentlemen 3 stars. It was just weird how the matches kind of started building, and then out of nowhere, like, Fukin Death's on the ground, I think, like, with a double super kick or something, and Natsupoi hits the twisting splash, the Furial Gift, onto Death for the win. So I was like, oh, okay, that kind of finish came out of nowhere, but be that as it may, an entertaining 4 minutes. We stay at the red Goddess block as we have Peach Rock, Momo Watanabe, and Mayu Iwatani and Momo Kogo going up against Karate Brave, the World of Stardom champion Shuri, and Tomoka Inaba. Both these teams are like quickly becoming my favorite teams in Stardom. As great as like Mike and Himika is, and FWC, and Momo and Starlight Kid, and Aphrodite, I think is actually stealing the show. We'll get into that in a minute. But Momo and Mayu have only teamed like a little bit, obviously mostly with the 6 persons, the 8 persons, and then Shuri and Inaba, who've never teamed at all. These 2 teams just gelling really well, and they had fantastic chemistry here. I thought Peach Rock, right from early on, to get the advantage here on the much harder hitting team, they use a lot of those double teams. And again, a lot of those double teams, they remind me of like the way the British Bulldogs would set up their double teams, or the Rockers would set up their double teams, or the Rock and Roll Express would set up their double teams. And just quick, crisp, concise, in and out of the ring, constant tags. That's why I really, really digging Mayu and Momo Kogo. And again, we don't know where Mayu is going. I think everybody expected her to win the IWGP Women's Championship. Obviously, she didn't. But I wouldn't mind seeing her and Momo Kogo getting a big run going into the tag division and building them up and having a big match with Meltier. I mean, that's a match that I would definitely be glued to the TV for. We get some innovation double teams from Peach Rock onto Shuri. We get a forearm exchange between Inama and Momo Kogo. Momo Kogo did a really good job building up her strikes here. Double 619 from Peach Rock onto Inaba, only for the 2 count. Inaba hits a Crow Cop style head kick onto Momo, basically kind of almost, I thought she was knocked out. Jeepers Creepers. Siri takes out Mayu with the German suplex, and then Inaba pins Momo Kogo with a super stiff penalty kick. They basically set up Momo. They do a basically penalty kick sandwich, and then they're running penalty kicks. 7 minutes, 19 seconds, 3 3/4 stars gets the job done. And it's getting to a point where I'm watching these Karate Brave matches, and I think that Shuri's not the hardest kicker in this team. Because, boy, I tell you what, Tomoka Inaba, she's making every second count. Every time she gets to throw a kick. And I'm a big fan of how she throws. She throws like this gut, almost like liver shot, like counter liver shots. Almost like she's coming into some of these matches almost as like a counter striker. Very much like Holly Holm, where it's like she'll be striking with somebody and she'll let somebody get ready to throw something, and she'll like throw like a low hook into their liver, and then it stuns them, and then she hits them with like a pair of kicks that just drops them. I absolutely love that combination that she's doing. I think she's only like 22. I mean, not 22, 22. I think she's just 20, 2-0. I mean, just the Stardom roster is just so stacked with just phenomenal talent. I know she's the Just Tap Out champion, but hopefully at some point that her and like Suzu Suzuki and Risa Serra, that Horacio Gawa just signs into a full-time contract, because I would love, and I think Inaba's wrestling Suzu Suzuki somewhere, I think at like a Taka Michinoku show. It's going to be on New Japan World, so excited to see that. But Be that as it may, we go to the co-main event of this match. Aphrodite coming in with 8 points, Utami and Sai Kamatani taking on Mafia Bella, Julia, and Tekla. So you have the former Red Belt champion, the current World of Stardom, Wonder of Stardom champion, and the 2022 5-star Grand Prix winner all in this match, and the former SWA champion Tekla, who some people are saying is like basically the singles MVP of this tournament. Well, I don't disagree. I would say that Aphrodite to me is so far, again, we have 2 more shows left. Aphrodite for me is the tag team MVP in this tournament. I thought they looked great. They get the big fight feel with Utami and Julia. You know that's going to be a big title match coming up next year. Because we've never had that singles match before, and that's kind of one of the very few unturned stones that Horacio Gawa has in his back pocket. So I would not be shocked to see that as a maybe world climax. You might see that as a title match, world climax for coming up the first half of 2023. But they did a good job just teasing that. They gave you just a little bit, some really good chain wrestling, kind of just back and forth. Eventually, you get some almost like high-speed action with Tekla and Saya Kamatani. They had some excellent stuff there. Really good tag team work from Aphrodite. These two are just absolutely fantastic. And this is a title run that I think I'm going to have to put up on the Patreon for a review sometime in the next few months, because Saya and Utami together just absolutely fantastic. Julia escapes the Kikagoye, and she counters it with a Shining Black. That was a really cool visual. Love to see another Julia versus Sai Kamatani match as well. Tekla locks in the Black Widow on Utami. We get a forearm sandwich on Utami from Mafia Bella for a 2 count. Back and forth counter double team moves from both teams, just basically countering each other's moves. I thought that was a really cool way to kind of set the pace and build it towards the finish. Aphrodite hit the Public Enemy style dive on the Tekla, and they get a 2 count out of it. I thought that was really cool. The drive by, again, for all you ECW fans, I thought that was cool. Harkening back to 1994, 1995 with the Public Enemy. Rest in peace, Johnny Grunge and Rocco Rock. Saya finally hits the Kikagoya on Julia. They get the Magic Killer on Tekla. Utami goes for the Torture Rack bomb onto Tekla, but gets countered, and Tekla rolls up Utami for the 3 count with the O'Connor roll into the Backland Bridge. 11 minutes, 52 seconds, 4 stars. This was like one of the sleeper matches of the tournament. This is really good and a surprise win. And you figured this would either go to a time limit draw or Tekla would eat the pin, because they're still going to be protecting Utami, Julia, and Sai Kamatani. They're not going to be eating any losses anytime soon. But I guess somebody has to lose. But I thought that was great that they gave Tekla the win here. Somebody that can really use a big win, and maybe the biggest pin she has over anybody since her joining Stardom about 10, 11 months ago. So good on her. Good on the booking there to give Tekla a win over Utami. We move on to the main event as we have BMI 2000 coming in with 8 points. Unbelievable. They lost 1 match going into this match. That was the first match against Mina and Saki via disqualification. Taking on the new era's Mirai and Ami Sourei, one of my favorite tag teams in this tournament. Quick double teamwork on Mirai to give the Uedo tie advantage. Ami Sourei winds up lighting Tor up with the Kenta Kobashi machine gun style chops. Tora winds up fighting back with this huge spear at Ami Sourei. Ruaka really seems to be finding her groove here. Looks like every time I see her, it looks like she's trimming down. It looks like she must be hitting the gym. She looks in better shape. She looks more confident. She looks more focused, like in the face. She really seems like she just feels more comfortable in her own skin, teaming with with Tora here. And this team was obviously a big question mark going in. Tora coming back from that 1.5-year injury that she had off, and Ruaka just didn't seem to be progressing like most of the other wrestlers, most of the younger wrestlers in Stardom. But they've silenced any doubters, because not only their matches are great, they did a great job giving them a push. I mean, 8 points going into these last few matches, it's something. These two really seem to gel well together. They're really finding their groove together. Double lariat to Ruaka as Mirai puts the double wrist lock onto Ruaka. Starlight Kid distracts the ref as Tora hits Mirai with the her pole that she comes in with. Mirai counters the choke bomb into a double wrist lock. That was really cool. Ruaka tries to set up one of her go-to holds is the choke bomb. I think maybe she used that as the finisher instead of the top rope splash or the fisherman suplex. I think that's like her best hold. But as she was coming down, Mirai's able to grab the wrist, get wrist control, gets the double wrist lock. I thought that was really cool. Eventually, Ruaka is able to get out of the double wrist lock. She finally hits that choke bomb, only gets 2. Ruaka goes to the top rope for the freezer bomb, but misses. Mirai quickly sees the damage done to the arm, locks back in the double wrist lock for the tap. 9 minutes, 39 seconds, 3 3/4 stars. We move on to the show from the 27th. They got the show up in a hurry. I think it only took them a day or two. Thanks to my main man, Darren. I forgot to mention him. My main man, Darren Chatton, for giving me the attendance figures for these shows. This show had 533 people in it, and it looked like it was a packed house. We move on to match number 1, Micah, non-tournament match. Mike and Himika defeat the team of Ruaka and Rina with a rear naked choke. Micah getting a rear naked choke onto Ruaka. I thought that was really cool how she's used the kata hajime in the Taz mission and Stardom In Showcase the night before, and then the simple rear naked choke here. It was really good. Some really solid stuff here. She seems to be improving every time I see her. I thought that her and Ruaka gelled pretty well together. They got in what they needed to get in. This match was only 7 minutes, 31 seconds. Eventually, Mike and Himika hit all their fancy spots they need to hit. And like I said, rear naked choke for the tap. Very well done, ladies. 3 1/4 stars. We move on to 8-person tag action as we have the Stars team of Hazuki. Basically 2 tag teams. So it's Hazuki, Koguma, FWC tagging with Wing Gori, Hana, and Saida, taking on the team of Ruaka, Saki Kashima, Starlight Kid, and Momo Watanabe. Notice that when Oedo Tai was coming to the ring, Starlight Kid quickly ran to a fan and started I thought was taunting them. And then you find out it's dad and the son dressed up as Ruaka. Or excuse me, not Ruaka, as Tora. So sorry, I said Ruaka's in this match. It's not, it was Tora. I apologize. But dressed, yes, it's Momo, Starlight Kid, Tora, and Saki Kashima. So you figure Tora, she always comes to the ring, especially since she's been back. She just has this stare in her, that she's gonna rip into her opponent, and she's so focused, and she's just that music, and seems like the meanest person in the building, and she can't help but to break character. And I thought that was really, really cool. Starlight Kid almost forced it on Ruaka. I figured if Starlight Kid wasn't there, maybe Ruaka would have saw it, maybe no sold it and just went to the ring. But I think she had to put over the, especially the kid. You got to put over the kids, folks. Stardom is for the kids. So I thought that was a pretty cool spot. To kind of just see Ruaka, the baddest person in the building, the meanest person in the building, crack a smile when she sees a 6-year-old dressed as, and out of all the people dressed as, really, Tora? Again, the meanest person could dress as Mayu, Mayu's for the kids more than anybody. But hey, you like what you like. I thought that was really cool and really cute. Starlight Kid and Koguma start off with some high-speed action to start, and then it quickly turns into an 8-person Oedo Tai style brawl. We get some solid exchanges with Saida and Momo Watanabe. Hana winds up doing the judo throw that I love so much to everyone. Fantastic exchanges with Hazuki and Momo. Tora hits out the sit-out DVD onto Hazuki for a 2 count. Little shout-out to her trainer and mentor, Kagetsu. Speaking of Kagetsu, obviously, Patreon. Take a listen. World of Stardom title read from Kagetsu. Waterfall finish from all 4 ladies. Excuse me, all 8 ladies, as they're basically just going back and forth, hitting a lot of their big moves. Hana special on Tora for 2. That was super impressive. Koguma hits the big dive onto everyone, and then we see a triple super kick on Hana, and then Tora eventually hits the swanton onto Hana. 9 minutes, 43 seconds for the win. 3 3/4 stars. We move on to match number 3, the new eras. We go to the Blue Goddess. It's our first match in the tournament for this night. Blue Goddess, 0-2 line, coming with 2 points, taking on Mirai and Amisori. The new eras coming with 5 points. And I noticed when they were doing the ring introduction, Mirai pointed at the fan that had the Tora paint on and was showing, hey, you have the. I know this isn't a visual podcast. It was basically pointing to Amisori, Ami, hey, look, that young fan's dressed up as Tora, and they all had a laugh. So I think that fan got a popping from everybody. So good on them, sir. Good on them. Good start with Izumi and Amisori. BU starting to really come into her own, very much like Ruaka. She's really gelling well here with Izumi. Izumi is putting her in the right spots at the right time to make her, basically maximize the most of her abilities. So I think that that Azumi, who I'm assuming is calling majority of the offense for O2 line, she's doing a really good job getting Miyu over. Ultimately, that's what you want to do. You just kind of just want to get everybody over. O2 line double team basically set up on Mirai. Miyu some really nice locks and a really nice heel hook on Mirai. I'd like to see Miyu start winning some matches with that heel hook knee bar. Looks really good the way that she sinks it in. DDTs all around from Mirai are from Miyu. That jumping DDT that she does so well. But eventually, the double clothesline onto Amisori. Not Amisori. The double clothesline from Ami and Mirai onto Azumi takes her out. The Mirror Mirai shock onto Miyu for the 3 count. I have this one at 3 3/4 stars. This one really exceeded my expectations, and they gave it time, just a touch under 13 minutes. 12 minutes, 46 seconds. We move on to the Red Goddess block. My Fair Lady, Big Goose Egg, 0 points, taking on our tag champs, Meltier. This was another match that was kind of a sleeper. This match is really, really good. Meltier turn basically Mai Sakurai and Lady C. They basically little bit of a way to tie in them. They come in there, basically a house on fire, and they jump Meltier. Eventually, it turns them around. Meltier, obviously, the tag champs for a reason. They use some tag team work to get the advantage back. Lady C winds up decking Natsupoi with this huge Sami Zayn El Generico style Halua kick in the corner. And again, I talk a lot about Lady C, the way she throws that big boot. And poor Natsupoi, ever since she turned and went with Cosmic Angels, everybody's beating her up. But this might be the single stiffest shot that she took. I mean, and the fact that Lady C is like a foot taller than poor Natsupoi. But this running Yakuza kick into the buckle, Halua kick, whatever you want to call it, and this thing was just brutal. My Fair Lady, they hit their new signature move, the Cobra Clutch top rope elbow drop for 2. Eventually, though, double super kick onto Mai Sakurai. Puts her down for a little bit, but they do tease a Mai Pai roll on Tam just for 2 count that the crowd bid on very well. Eventually, stereo German suplexes on the champ, and then Tam hits the Tiger suplex on Mai Sakurai for the win. 3.5 stars, 8 minutes, 38 seconds. I like how they did a good job getting Mai Sakurai and Lady C over, and they got them a lot in this match. Between their new, I guess, what's their tag finisher, even though I haven't beaten anybody yet. And that they teased the Mai Sakurai roll-up on Tam for 2. I said in this podcast before, I want to see Tam start getting some wins with the Twilight Dream. I just think that's like the coolest name of a hold, and just it looks really cool when she does it. She does a great Tiger suplex, don't get me wrong. I know the Violent Screwdriver is basically her nuclear finish, but she's used quite a bit this year, but I would like to see her go back to the Twilight Dream. That's just me. Match number 5. One of my favorite matches of this tournament, match I was so looking forward to. Red Goddess block. Karate Brave coming up 5 points, taking on my MVPs of this tournament, Utami Hayashishita, and Saya Kamatani. Basically, bell rings, and we get a Utami Shuri stare down. We're just about a week removed from another classic 5-star match between these two. We get just a little bit here. And then we get some tag outs, some really good stuff with Tomoka Inaba and Saya Kamatani. Inaba picks up Utami apart with some strikes. Utami's doing a good job in this tournament, not only just being great in the ring and making sure her and Saya gel really well, which they do, but she's doing a good job getting a lot of the younger talent over. We saw her the show before Tekla got a fall over. Not only a fall over, Tekla was able to lock in a lot of submissions on Utami. Utami gave her a lot. And Tomoka Inaba, she's got a lot of strengths, but to me, and probably a lot of people, her biggest strengths is her striking. And she just let Utami just let her lay into her. I think it was basically like when they're putting together matches, like, hey, sure, you know how you laid into me a week ago? Let your tag partner do that. But she does a great job making Inaba look better than she already does. Some great quick near falls with the Sai Kamatani and Shuri. I've been saying it for a while now. I would love to see Shuri versus Sai Kamatani. You have the red belt champion and the white belt champion. Literally 2 of the best ever. I mean, you have Sai Kamatani, I think, is second all-time with title defenses, and Shuri is tied for second all-time with title defenses. 2 of the best red belt champions that are one of the best red belt champions ever, and one of the best white belt champions ever. And they're still current champs, so they still have more to add on their resume. In my opinion, the two of the best wrestlers in the world. They really haven't done much in the ring with each other, but we got a little bit here, which I thought was really, really good. And it's a match that I would like to see these two of them have, regardless of belts or championships. I would just love to see how these two work with Sai Kamatani's explosive high-speed offense and Sherry's ground and pound grappling and strikes. But I thought their stuff here was really, really good. And again, I hope we get a singles match somewhere down the line. Kick sandwich on the Karate Brave. Shuri hits the Ruin on Sai Kamatani for 2. Inaba hits his violent head kick. Oh, this thing was very in the realm of Mirko Cro Cop. She just hits this brutal head kick on Utami. That was like, I mean, obviously Utami's not legal here, but eventually Shuri locks in the White Tiger, forcing Sai Kamatani to tap out. I had this at 4 stars. This was great. The action was nonstop. They did a great job getting the younger Inaba over. Some fantastic stuff with Utami and Tomoka Inaba. Obviously, the Shuri Utami stuff, the little bit stuff that they did in the ring was great. The main crux of this match was Shuri and Sai Kamatani, the two best wrestlers in this company for this year, and probably, in my opinion, 1 and 3. I will also rate number 2, 1 and 3 wrestlers of the year in any wrestling company. And the fact that, like, well, how are we going to get Utami out? And it's just like, you don't need this giant, huge suplex or this big contrived spot. Just Tomoka Inaba just Cro Cop kicking her in the head. Just brutal. Again, I think Sherry's just like, I don't know if I'm the stiffest kicker in my tag team, and not only started my tag team anymore, because Inaba's doing a great job showing out. Again, a lot of people told me Tekla is the single MVP of this tournament. Again, I'm not going to disagree with that, but I'm going to say that Tomoka Inaba is doing a great job getting her name out in this tournament. And again, it's somebody that I hope Stardom signs to a full-time deal. It's somebody that we will. Can you imagine the 5-star with her in it? As loaded as this past 5-star was. Can you imagine if you put Tomoka Inaba in it? Jeepers. Unbelievable. We move on to match number 6 in the main event for this show. Peach Rock, Mayu Iwatani, and Momo Kogo taking on the team of Mafia Bella, Julia, and Tekla. Obviously, Mayu and Julia have some fantastic chemistry. We've seen their 5-star matches. We saw the fantastic match they had earlier this year at Nagoya Supreme Fight, where they went to a 30-minute time limit draw. Again, Julia cannot get the Mayu monkey off her back, and I think this will be some title match they will have somewhere down the line where Julia finally gets the big win over Mayu. But that'll be for a later discussion, a later topic for later discussion. But this match was great. They went 11 minutes, 28 seconds. Eventually, Tekla winds up eating the moonsault from Mayu from 3, but some Mayu for the 3 count. But some highlights from the match here. There was a really cool spot where Tekla goes for the toxic spider and spear, and as she's going for the spear, Mayu hits the super kick, and then Mayu, still on the cell from previous damage that Julia did to her, she comes back around for the dummy turn cell, and she eats the toxic spear from Tekla. That was a really cool rebound spot. Mayu teasing the running 3. We don't see Mayu doing it that often, so when she does, it's kind of a big deal. She tries for it onto Tekla. Julia stops it, and then Momo Kogo winds up basically taking Julia out. Mayu hitting the tombstone, and then, like I said, follows up the tombstone with the moonsault on a Tekla for the 3 count. 3 3/4 stars, 11 minutes, 28 seconds. Yeah, some really good stuff here. Mayu and Julia stuff, they just can't miss. Mayu diving onto anybody, and Julia adding on the, as if she'd never enough for repertoire. We've noticed lately she's been doing the curb stomps, shades of Super Dragon there. She did some very violent ones onto Momo Kogo. So those are our 3 shows that we reviewed, folks. Let's get into before, real quick, I did watch, they were just uploaded this morning, so I did watch them. Stardom World is just on fire, folks. The Fuwa-chan debut match, I'm just going to do a quick review. Fuwa-chan teaming with Hazuki, taking on Rina and Sai Kamatani. It's great to see Rina in a match that was going to give her, because Fuwa-chan is a big YouTube, basically like a pop idol, very big in pop culture in Japan. I never heard of her before this. So this is a good spot. Obviously, Hazuki's a big star. Sai Kamatani is one of the biggest stars in the company. Rina, basically putting her in a big spot. I thought that was great. They did a good job showcasing her. I thought she looked really well. I thought Fuwa-chan, you can see towards the end she's getting a little blown up. That's going to happen. You're going to need a lot of reps. I thought her technical wrestling was really spot on. I thought all of her holds looked really good. Nothing she didn't have when she was transitioning from hold to hold. In the chain wrestling, she didn't have basically like pedal feet, where she wasn't like stutter stepping. Her steps are really good. Everything was fluid. I thought everything she did really, really well. I thought she looked well here. Sai Kamatani, obviously, we saw the clip viral about an hour after this match when it happened a few months ago with that big pump kick just taking Fu Chan's head off. And then ultimately she hits the 450, the Fireburn Splash for the win. I had this at 3.5 stars. And then a match very near and dear to my heart for several reasons. Not only was it Queen's Quest of Azumi, Utami, and Lady C taking on Koguma, Hazuki, and Saida, 6 of my favorites in Stardom. This match took place at the Tokyo Comic Con, and they gave this match a good amount of time, went over 20 minutes. We saw some high-speed action with Azumi and Koguma, and then we saw some high-speed action with Hazuki and Azumi. Utami and Azumi's tag stuff is just absolutely flawless, just fantastic. Obviously, we've seen Utami teaming with Momo before. Obviously, her and Sai Kamatani, to me, they're the MVPs of the Goddess of Stardom tournament. Again, I know we have 2 more days, but to me, they're just completely blowing it out of the water as a tag team. But Utami she seems to gel so well with just everybody. So her stuff here with the Zumi is just absolutely fantastic. Obviously, Saida and Utami, and again, another younger competitor, young 20s, and Utami gave her a lot in this match when it came to striking and taking bumps for her. So that's really, really refreshing. Not that like she was gobbling up the younger talent before. I think it's just that Utami's been at such a main event level for so long that we really haven't seen her work with anybody outside of maybe the top 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 people that often. But again, she gave a lot to Saida in this match. And Saida, she just needed an inch and she took a mile. Because Saida is just somebody that's fantastic and a very, very underrated wrestler. Obviously, the Hazuki Koguma tag stuff is going to be top notch. Those two are just fantastic. One of the best tag teams of this year and for this company. Obviously, too, the triple teamwork with Utami, Azumi, and Lady C. Letting Lady C play some reindeer games as well. Can't let Utami and Azumi have all the fun. We see this awesome dive spot with Koguma coming off the top rope as Hazuki is doing the suicide dive between the second and third rope. Something that me and Andy Header do, and that's actually how I hurt my foot, was me doing the Koguma dive all the way from the top as Andy hits a flawless, because he's a way better athlete than me, flawless suicide dive. But that's really cool that FWC, when they do that spot, they should break that out more often. Ultimately, it leads to Koguma hitting the top rope splash for 3 on the Lady C, 3 3/4 stars. So we're reviewing lots of things, folks. So let's get into the main event of the show. Let me get a little drink here as I've been talking for about an hour. As we will get into the final 2 nights of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League Tournament. And we go on to, this will be December 3rd. This is Saturday. So let's scroll down the card. It looks like Peach Rock has 2 matches. I think just because with Mayu being involved, the IWGP Championship Tournament, that they're a couple matches back. But 2 matches that might just be the 2 best matches of the whole tournament. Mayu and Momo, Peach Rock, taking on Meltier, Tam Nakano, and Natsupoi. Oh boy, that is going to be fantastic. Obviously, we know Mayu's past history with Tam. And it's a good match for Momo to get up on, Natsupoi, because everybody else is beating up around it this year. So that should be fun. And then we have Peach Rock, Mayu, and Momo taking on Black Desire, Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid. Obviously, Mayu and Momo Watanabe, have some of the best chemistry ever in the history of Stardom. You throw in Momo Kogo, who's having a solid tournament. Starlight Kid, one of the best wrestlers this year. Obviously, we have the past history of Mayu and Starlight Kid as well. So that's going to be interesting to see. We have Karate Brave Shuri and Tomoka Inaba taking on Saki Kashima in Fukiin Death. This could be a spoiler because Shuri and Inaba have a lot of points going into the final. There's like 5 or 6 teams that are still alive and breathing. So it's going to be interesting because Saki and Death, they've been eating a lot of losses and a lot of like just random weird matches. I'm going to go on a limb here, folks, and say We Love Tokyo Sports gets the they're going to get the upset here. That's what I'm going to say, betting no money on it. Blue Goddess, we have FWC taking on the New Eras. Oh, man. The New Eras they've had that match, twice, time limit draw and FWC with the win. I say the New Eras get the win there. 7 Up against O2 Line. 7 Up they're still pretty much well alive in this tournament as well. I'm going to say Azumi and Miyu get the upset. I would like to see Azumi get a pinfall maybe on you, maybe using the same technique she used on Mike and Himika, the Canadian Destroyer, into the Azumi Sushi on either Nanai or you. But I'm going to say that O2 Line gets a win here. We have Mike and Himika. Obviously, they need a few more points to qualify, taking on the team of poor Waka and Saki. Obviously, we know where this is going to go, but I think this match is going to be great. I think Waka is fantastic in the ring. Saki is very underrated. I think Waka and Saki together are really good. They're really finding their groove these last 2 or 3 matches. And obviously, Mike and Himika are great, but not going too bold here, saying Mike and Himika get up the win. There's also a Stardom Rumble as well, but we'll get into that probably when we do this review. Okay, we go on to the final night. So it'll be the Red Goddess winners versus the Blue Goddess winners. So we have Tam and Natsupoi who are still in it, and they need a win against again, all depends on what shakes out on Saturday, against Aphrodite, Sai Kamatani, and Utami Hayashishita. I say Aphrodite get the win here, which will propel them into the finals, which they won't win. But since they beat the tag champs, you're going to see a tag title rematch of this with the tag belts somewhere on the line. I think that's smart booking because you have 4 huge stars in this company, 2 great tag teams, and you're going to give me a Red Goddess final night match and then maybe a tag title match somewhere in the future. Yeah, that'll be fantastic. Mayu Momo Kogo taking on We Love Tokyo Sports. Mayu and Momo, I think they may. Will they win? I don't see Meltier dropping 2 in a row. I don't. My earlier prediction was Mayu and Momo would be qualifying towards the finals going to this final night, but Saki and Death would wind up getting the win. They still can. Obviously, we know the bane of existence that Saki Kashima is, and basically, a thorn in Mayu's side. So that'll be something to play out. This will be like a 4-minute match, but the best 4-minute tag match you'll ever see. Mafia Bella against Black Desire. Ooh. I'm going to say it's Mafia Bella. I just don't see them making the finals. I just don't see Julia getting back-to-back finals in the tournament. And Momo and Starlight Kid need a big win to keep them alive. So I'm going to say Black Desire gets the win. Shuri and Tomoka Inaba versus My Fair Lady. My Sakura and My Lady C, again, 0 points, but have been having some matches that not a lot of people should be, more people should be talking about. They've been having some solid outings. Shuri and Inaba are absolutely fantastic together. I'm very much looking forward to Mai Sakurai and Lady C trying to throw boots up against Shuri and Inaba throwing mid kicks. I think this match is going to be a lot of fun, but I think Karate Brave gets the win. FWC versus Mike and Himika. Basically, you have a match here of 2 former champions. I think Mike and Himika will get the win here, and that will basically take them into the finals. 7 Up, Nanai Takahashi and you taking on Tora and Ruaka, BMI 2000. Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm going to say time limit draw on this one because both of these teams have a lot of points, and I think that I know it's not going to because Tora and Ruaka, they have the tiebreaker over Mike and Himika. So, and Mike and Himika have the tiebreaker over Nanai and 7 Up, but Nanai and you. So I'm going to say time limit draw on that one. Let's see. We have the New Errors taking on Saida and Hana Wingori. I'm going to say Saida and Hana get the upset there. We always see a few upsets to throw the points off into the finals or the night before the finals. And I think that'd be a nice win for Saida and Hana to get the win over the New Errors, former 3-time number 1 contenders, 3-time challengers for the Goddess belts. And you have the current future Stardom champion, Ami Sori, and you have the current this past year, the winner of the Cinderella tournament in Mirai. So I think that'd be a big win. And then maybe you'll see maybe Hana re-challenges Ami Sori for the future belt just to get a match in there. I don't know. And then we have Waka and Saki taking on O2 Line, Azumi and Miyu. Azumi and Miyu going to get the win here. It's Waka. That'd be a great match. I would see Azumi and Miyu, or Azumi and Saki. I think you're going to have some really, really good chemistry. And I'd like to see some high-speed stuff with Waka and Azumi. So, again, folks, I'm going to stay with my pick. I'm going to still say it's going to be Mike and Himika over Aphrodite in the final. But I'm really hoping that we get the two Meltier versus Micah and Himika matches. Well, obviously we're getting the one on Saturday, but if they are not Saturday, excuse me, on Sunday. But if they get the win, maybe they can go back and challenge them for the belt, for the belts. That's a match that I'd love to see more than once. So hopefully we get there, folks. I thank everybody so much for bearing with me here for this little over an hour. We covered a lot of stuff. So that is pretty much going to wrap up this podcast. Again, thanks everybody so much for all the new listeners, all the new Patreon members, all the fantastic things that everybody says to both myself and Rab on the podcast. We greatly appreciate it. As we record this, it is the end of November, November 30th. It's actually my parents' anniversary. So happy 43rd anniversary to my fantastic parents. But as we record this morning, I got some reports on what the Stardom cast is doing on social media, and I'm blown away by the numbers. Blown away by the numbers. We're increasing like something like 1,000%. It's like 110,000 like post engagements are people reached just in the month of November. Obviously, that does not happen without the hard work of obviously our editor-in-chief that makes us sound so much better. Well, Rob doesn't need to sound better. Makes me sound better so much than I do. My good buddy Sean Montrose, obviously Rob Goodwin, the man, the OG of this, and the book, the author of the book Living the Dream, Stardom's 10th anniversary interview. I got it in. Obviously the godfather of this podcast. Those two work so hard to just make this podcast so much better. Biggest thanks to Kevin Kelly for the two shout outs that we got on the Historic Crossover show. If you have not watched it yet, Kevin Kelly gave us a shout out. Both me, Rob, and the podcast during the Stardom Rambo Rumble and right before the Julia Zack Sabre versus Tom Lawler and Sherry match. So obviously, the biggest thanks to him to have your name called on a Japanese pay-per-view, big deal. Obviously, I'm assuming that's helped us out. Having Karen Peterson on the show, she's absolutely fantastic. She has just such great reach in the Stardom community, and actually, as of today, I finally found it. We talked about it a little bit towards on the end of the show that we interviewed her with. I finally found her the PWI Women's 150 with Shuri, Sai Kamatani, and Starlight Kid on the cover, where she has this fantastic interview with Shuri. And I highly recommend everybody, if you can find it. It took me 7 or 8 days of like nonstop looking to find it. And I finally found it at a Walmart in Allentown, Pennsylvania, the last one left. And even the lady that was putting the magazines away said that it's the usually the wrestling magazines don't sell that well that fast, but that one sold out so fast, so quick. So kudos to Stardom being on the cover, and kudos to Karen for helping for that fantastic interview and helping us out. But the biggest thanks on why this podcast is growing as much as it is, it's to you, the listeners, the friends and family of the Stardom cast, all the great things that you say, the reviews, the retweets, the putting everything out there. We cannot say thank you enough, and we're going to keep continuing growing. Like I always say, we always just need to grow together. We cannot say thank you enough, and we would not be here without you. So thank you, everybody, so much for the support, and keep hitting those retweets and those shares, and leaving us reviews. It means the world to us. It really, really does. Any questions, comments, anything that I can do to help the podcast better, please let me know. Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and the Twitter, or hit me up on the email, thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, again, I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It really means the world to me. So just remember, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast, because we're all in this together, and everybody's different. Everybody's special. Hope everybody has a great day and a great night.